What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back to Endure, Believe, Rise. I hope this message reaches you in good energy. I hope you and your loved ones are in good health. So, let me start by apologizing to the gentleman that sent me, the brother that sent me this video. He sent me a video, and today I'm going to do a review on it. Now, the video is an hour long, so it may take you a few days, like it took me. It took me quite a while to get through it. I just was such a busy and hectic schedule, but I did eventually get through it. And I wanted to leave my thoughts, my reviews on the video. The video is called, it's a podcast, and there was a lady, I forget her name, I apologize, but she was interviewing a king, and his name is Jason Wilson. And the video says, why are boys and men quietly giving up in what they need to hear? And he wanted to know my thoughts on it. So I actually did create some notes when reading this video, so I'm going to read some of them as I'm going to go through them and read them. I'm going to try not to make this an hour-long video like his was. I don't want to do an hour-long view on the review because it's supposed to just be a review. But there are certain concepts that I agreed with, and certain concepts that I thought were, in the middle or okay, like it could go one way or the other. And then there were certain concepts that I totally disagreed with. Now, this is a professional. This is someone who has degrees. This is someone who's been tried, tested. This is someone who's ordained by God. This isn't me to sit here and bash him and say that he's wrong, or like I'm not going to do that or anything like that. What I want to express, what I want to communicate and define is that motivation, inspiration, spirituality, getting better, overcoming, it looks different for different people. It can be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It can be all of that and none of this. But the reason that I have my channel specifically is because I had to find that out on my own. There weren't anybody out there who was telling me that it's okay to define what success means to you. It's okay to define what motivation means to you, what a relationship with God means to you, what all these things are to you. So there are some concepts that me and him align 100% on, and then there's some concepts that me and him totally different on. And I didn't put it in any particular order, but just as the video went on, I made the note, right? And again, just a total review, a flat review. If you want to listen to this part and then just end it, you don't want to hear the whole explanation and breakdown. It's a great video. It's an awesome video. I'm not going to rate it a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of, I'm not going to give it a rating like that. But what I am going to say is that it is definitely a blessing to have a man like that out there who is preaching and teaching what he's teaching. And that you guys would definitely benefit from that, men and women alike. This is a message that was catered to both. Like, hey, this is what you should be as a man. This is okay to not be this as a man. And hey, woman, this is okay. This is how you can get to your man if he's not. So that's what I do love off the top, as I love that he's teaching women how to communicate with men, because we're damaged as well. Just like the society is sitting here and creating a toxic image of what a woman should be, they're doing the same thing for a man. And in a lot of ways, it's worse because we're supposed to be the leaders. And, I know some people might push some rejections to that, but at the end of the day, the man is supposed to be a leader, and he's supposed to come and be able to correct. And if he's not in a position to do that, if he doesn't have the skills to do that and the mindset to do that, then there's no correction. And if there's no correction, then things start to get really bad, right? But without further ado, great video. If you guys want to go check it out, here are my notes, right? So the first one, he says, challenge me, but don't condemn me. And he was talking about finding a mentor that would do that, because a lot of times you have mentors who are just, they condemn you and they beat you down, they break you. And I've talked about that too, is that as a leader, there was this thing that a long time ago people would say, well, if I'm right, I don't have to be nice. Yes, you do. Nobody wants to sit there and drink from a bad well, right? Nobody wants to, like, it all matters, bro. It all does matter. So you have to challenge someone, but not dismiss them, not condemn them, not tell them, shame them. That is the word that I'm looking for. Is I have so many people that they shame people. They really just beat them down and break them. They make a mistake, and it's like they make them feel like you're never going to get that stain off of you. No room to be human is something that they're doing a lot of now. I talk about it with Floyd Mayweather, and this is no knock to Floyd, but in a lot of ways I say Floyd ruined boxing. And the reason I say that is because now everybody thinks that you have to be 50-0, you have to be undefeated That's not the way boxing is. That's not the way life is. Like, you're going to take losses. You're going to learn from the losses. You're going to get better from the losses. But you do have to, go through those losses. And it's okay if you take a loss. If you're not undefeated, which none of us are in life, we've all lost something somewhere. And if you haven't, then you might be getting ready to face one. And I hope you don't. If you're undefeated in life, I hope you stay undefeated. May you be the anomaly. But dollars for donuts, you're not. And that's okay, So stop allowing the disappointment of the day to continue to the rest of the day. I love this. Reflect, release, reset, and rest. We make a big deal out of a lot of things in our life that really aren't that big of a deal. It's one little thing. It's one little call. It's one little text. It's one little video. It's one little argument. It's one order that they got wrong. It's a flat tire. I mean, if you think about the grand scheme of everything that happened in the day that was perfect, everything that happened in the day that actually went the way it was supposed to, and you have this one thing, no matter how major that one thing is, 99% of the day went the way it was supposed to. It's just the one situation that made a chain affected the rest of it. So at the end of your day, you have to lay down and you have to put that day to bed. And everybody who's effective with their mental health, they already know this, but people who aren't, and they lose sleep, they have insomnia, it's because they can't let go of what happened in the day. They can't reset, they can't release, they can't reflect, they can't say, look, this is what happened, this is how we're going to take care of it tomorrow. Until tomorrow comes, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to get some rest so I can deal with it tomorrow, because if I don't, not only is that problem going to build, but I'm going to have other problems that compound as well. And I love that he talks about that. There's an extreme fear of failure he talks about, which we're just talking about. People are scared to fail because the society and the system has tried to make your failures permanent. With social media and videos and cameras and all this stuff, anybody can go and just pull up a video on you and be like, this is you from a year ago. And you see that. You see that they zombify people because they're like, oh, look, this is who you are, right? This is what you said. But I've grown from that. I've evolved from that. That's no excuse. I'm not justifying it. But that's who I used to be. I have the right to grow and evolve and change. I have the right to right my wrongs. And it's an extreme thing of failure nowadays because they want to make your failures permanent. And that's just not the way the game's supposed to be played. Phone's kind of going to sleep here. Hold on just a moment. So, stream play. Women should be your peace. Now, one thing I do when I do counseling people is to say that, at the end of the day, a relationship should be fun, man. A relationship should be fun. A relationship should not be a fight every single day. If that man, if that woman, every time you meet them, y'all are arguing, man, something's up. And if you're enjoying that, hey, I'm not going to go down that lane, but cool, but I don't. That's not what I do. The quickest way for me to disengage with you in a romantic setting is for you not to be at peace with yourself, let alone be my peace, So, with that being said, let's go to the next one. The biggest lie, I've said this so many times, man, me and one of my mentors talk about this all the time. The biggest lie is that you're alone in your struggle. That nobody cares, that nobody's going to help you, and that nobody's gone through this before. The enemy wants to embarrass you so that you're quiet about what's going on. Because if you're quiet about it, he can do it to somebody else too. But if you stand up and say, hey, a lion is trying to kill me right now. They know that there's lions out there. At least, the very least, everybody now knows that there's lions out there. And people are going to probably come over there and rush to help you because, hey, if that lion's done with Willie, he's coming for me. But as long as the enemy can make you feel shame that, man, I was not prepared for this lion, or this lion was bigger than me, and I wasn't as strong as him, I wasn't ferocious as him, and I've been beefing with people in the tribe all day, and now they're going to be like, ha, I told you he was weak. As long as the enemy can embarrass you into shame and then get you to be quiet about it, his power amplifies. It's why I talk about my struggles, because I need you to know I do struggle. I don't quit. It ain't going to get the best of me. We going to fight. I'm going to overcome, but it is a struggle. I didn't just walk in there and push the building over like I'm Superman. I had to take out a chainsaw and a hammer and a blowtorch and a wrecking ball and explosives to bring this building down. I did it, but it was a process, right? Women were asking him, "How can I support you?" So this was a question. He said, "When was the last time you as a woman went to your man and just said, 'How can I support you?'" And I had to stop the video right there because I became a little emotional, honestly. Like, I was like, if somebody told me that right now, like a woman that I was romantically involved with, I would definitely get my feelings. Like, that it's not about submission. It's not about being the alpha, but it's about you having the time, you having the cognitive, you having the wherewithal, you taking the genuine interest of, this man needs support too. And a lot of men don't have that, and that's why they feel alone. That's why they feel like they can't talk to their spouses. Um, let's see. I'm not doing this for you. I love this statement that he made. He was talking about um, arguing with people and then reverting back to his old self, and how certain people will try to pull the old you out of you. And I believe the podcaster said something like, yeah, I'm not gonna da 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 for this reason. He said, well, I'm not doing it for you. I'm I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I want to be this person. And that's something that I preach a lot too, is like, you need to be doing this for you. And a lot of people will look at it like it's selfishness, and I'll just agree with them. It is being selfish. I'm very selfish. I'm selfish on what makes me happy. Now, the thing is, the things that make me happy is making other people happy, motivating other people, inspiring other people. But if it doesn't make you happy, if you're not doing it for you, that's going to be a big struggle. Like, yes, you're doing it because you want to see your kids happy, but the ultimate reason you want to see your kids happy is because that makes you happy. It makes you feel like a man. It makes you feel like a woman to provide and protect and so forth and so on, right? So I love that he said that, I'm not doing this for you. Going it alone is okay, but you need to have an emergency helpline. He was talking about a situation where you don't need to go alone and you shouldn't go alone. And this is one of the aspects where I start to disagree in some of the videos. I think it's okay to go alone. I do. I think it's okay for you to see how far you can swim on your own, how much you can lift on your own. But I also think that there should always be an emergency helpline. There should be a 911. There should be a button, right? If we're talking about sci-fi, there should be that quick button that'll get you out of the game or reset the game, that'll save you from the calamity. Going it alone gives you a lot of power, and it gives you a lot of perspective, and it gives you a lot of strength, and it gives you a lot of clarity on who you are. And a lot of things that I've had to go alone, some of my toughest journeys, I'm glad I went it alone. And then there was times where I had to go through something similar, and somebody was there, and I was appreciative of that person's help because of the time that I went it alone. So he says don't go it alone. I say be cautious going it alone. We don't totally disagree on that. I just say be careful, right? Um, if you are dressed up like a superhero, they're going to want you to do superhero stuff. And he talks about how a man is expected to be tough all the time, protector all the time, all these things all the time. And we talk about it in a sense of provocativeness, right? Where it's like, if a woman dresses a certain way, if a man carries himself a certain way, it's like, you can't be mad at me for thinking that you're a narcissist. You can't be mad at me for thinking that you're an a-hole. You can't make me mad at me for thinking that you're promiscuous, because look how you're dressed, right? You can't be mad at me thinking that you're a thug or a villain, because look how you're dressed, right? Now, in that retrospect, we're talking about the same thing when it comes to superhero. People expect these things of you, and they're disappointed in you because you're always trying to be a superhero. You're always in this mode of strength and all this other stuff. So then when it comes time that you are a human, they're like, oh, another one that fails the standard, because you've given them this standard from the beginning that this is who you should be, rather than saying that you're a human. I actually use this phrase a lot of people, because I tell people, look, let's start over. Today is going to be the first day of the rest of your life. So whoever you tell me that you're going to be, I accept. You can be whoever you want to be. But if you say that you're Superman, I'm going to expect you to fly. So be very intentional with who you are and what you are. That doesn't mean go out there and tell the world your flaws and your deepest, darkest secrets and open up the skeleton. but reflect that I'm human. Own that you make mistakes. Well, I make mistakes, and and I correct them when I have the chance to, and so forth and so on. Right? It doesn't have to be that I'm perfect. It also doesn't have to be that I'm just letting anything slide. But I thought that was awesome. You're not tired of living. You're tired of not living. It's something that he says when people are get depressed and they get sad, they get recessive and stuff like that. It's people say I'm tired of living, and they want to do stuff, right? And I'm not going to talk about what those things are. I don't put no images in people's heads. But at the end of the day, it is something we have to talk about because mental health is a big thing, right? And it's not that people get tired of living, they get tired of not living. You're going through all these motions of constantly being belittled and broken down. That's not living. You're constantly being subjected to pain and abuse. That's not living. You're not able to overcome. You're not able to have joy. That's not living. So it's not that you're tired of living. You're tired of not living, and you want to do anything to escape this reality. And that's where those extreme measures come in. So I want to reflect that too to anybody who's made it this far in this video. And I apologize if at the beginning. You're not tired of living. You're tired of not living. But I also want you to know that this is just a moment. This is something I preach all the time about everything being a moment. This is just a moment in time. This is not the rest of your life. This is not how it's going to be. But we have to get through this moment. And how do we get through this moment? And what skills and resources and tools we have to get through this moment. So I love that he used that. Give me just a moment because my phone has went to sleep there, all right? Now, the next one is, I love flowers because of what they do for my mind, but don't you dare test me. So it's crazy. I wish I would have put them in. I wear flower earrings, and the reason I wear flower earrings is because they remind me to give people their flowers, right? And at the end of the day, I've been written off. I've been looked at as weak, as soft, as people try to take advantage of me and stuff like that, and that's fine. And they find out real quick. I ain't soft. I definitely ain't soft. I'm a kind person. I can be gentle when the time it calls for it, but I ain't soft. I'm not a pushover, right? You're not gonna take advantage of me. So the next one he was talking about being vulnerable, and he didn't necessarily say to be vulnerable with everybody, but I do kind of feel like the message was, it's okay to be as vulnerable as you want. It's okay to cry in public. It's okay to, and this is my humble opinion. No disrespect to anybody. It's not okay to cry in public. It's okay if you end up crying in public. You have an emotional situation, you end up breaking down, that's fine. But for you to constantly lose control of your emotions in a public setting, and that's what that is, that's not good. Now, tears of joy, that's different, right? But I definitely disagree with being vulnerable to a large amount of people. I think you should vet people very, very, very carefully before you decide to open up to them, before you decide to be emotional to them. You need to make sure that the people that you vent to, that you're emotional with, that they love you and that they want your best interest in heart. Because at the end of the day, this is a cruel, a nasty, and a corrupt world, and they will take advantage of you if you're too vulnerable. One of the key things that we disagree with is Mr. Jason thinks that, or believes he has examples shown, because that's what I want to say. His method is proven, right? He has examples shown where a spouse, they should be very vulnerable and very open with each other, that a man can cry with his wife and everything like that. And I just totally disagree with that. I feel like it's not that I want a man to be this super macho guy, and it's not that I think that you have to show a certain example for your wife and your children and everything like that. The reason why I disagree with it, excuse me, is because of the burden I feel like it puts on a marriage, that it puts on a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, right? I feel like there should be specific key individuals in your life who you're vulnerable with and who you can vent to, i.e. a counselor, a spiritual leader, a brother, a best friend, stuff like that. Because if you decide, and this is my experience, if you decide to try to take one person and you make them your everything, that does a lot of stuff. And the first one I want to say is when that person goes away, when that person dies, when that person decides they don't want to be in your life anymore, when that person is sick, when that person is unavailable, you're left on a ledge. You're left up a creek. You're left in a bad situation because they're your everything. I have my everything is gone. Now what do I do? How do I go about making another one? The other thing is, and this is really the big one, because fear is going to happen anyway. There's always pros and cons to everything. But the big one is, I feel like it's unfair to that person. I'm putting all this responsibility and this burden on my wife. I'm putting all this responsibility and burden on my brother. I'm putting all this responsibility and burden on my girlfriend, on whoever, right? And at the end of the day, you know, now they feel obligated to wear that cape. It's almost like I'm adorning them as Superman. I'm adorning them as a hero, and they didn't ask for that, right? It's almost like trauma dumping, right? So for me and him, we disagree a little bit on that right there. I do think that you should be very open with communication with your significant other. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. In any relationship, brother, sister, mother, father, even employee, employer, every relationship has to have great communication, or it's not going to be a strong communication, a strong relationship. But I just disagree with the burden of responsibility that I would put on my wife. You know, even if she would like ask and beg, you know, I just wouldn't feel comfortable making that person into a hero. You know, and maybe after a time I will be comfortable doing it, but going into it I wouldn't. Right? Let's see. Let's see. When you he does talk about knowing the difference between, you know, what a value is and what it doesn't. And I'll let you watch the video for that. We need to speak positive, not accept that we are weak. So there was a one situation where in the video he was telling his one of his disciples that just tell the truth. You feel weak, I want you to shout out that you're weak. This is another spot where we kind of disagree. I agree with being honest with yourself. You can't move past anything until you're honest. If you feel like you're scared, if you're nervous, if you're anxious, I want you to say that. But now, after we say that, we're not going to repeat that ever again. I'm anxious. Okay, cool. What do you want to be? I want to be bold. I want to feel courageous. I want to feel joy. All right. That's what I want you to say now. You know, but his method is understanding, is releasing it, right? So, like I said, kind of disagreeing. And the one thing I want to tell you about Jason's method is it is also based around martial arts. It is also based around physical activity, which is something I think people don't speak enough about. And I wish I would put this at the beginning of the video because, you know, sometimes people don't make it all the way to the end. But everybody wants to dope you up nowadays. They want to give you all these drugs. They want to give you all this, you know, all these chemicals to correct you, but they don't want to address the issue that started it. Yes, these chemicals, sometimes you need it to make sure that you make it to the next moment. They're like a safety vest or a skipping of the level. You know, they're like a bubble, a force field to get you through this moment. But if you don't correct the behavior, it becomes a crutch, and you need that force field to go through all the levels now. You need that extra life to go through all the levels now. You need that crutch to walk for the rest of your life. And a lot of times, physicality, working out, these things are things that will correct that behavior. A lot of times you find people who have poor mental states and they have horrible physical states as well. And it's no wonder to a professional that no wonder like you're in that mental phase, because look at your activity. And we're not talking about being a bodybuilder. We're not talking about running a marathon. We're not talking about being a triathlete or CrossFit champion or anything like that. I'm talking about just not being stationary for 23 hours of the day. Some of us, like, we hardly walk at all. We hardly move at all. Like just going on a 30-minute walk, just going on a 5-minute walk, going for a swim in a pool, walking the dog, playing with the kids, you know, swinging on a swing, any kind of physicality. There are some people who are so far removed. They're like, when's the last time you went to a park and just swung on a swing? So his whole method is based in physicality, in activity, right, in working out. And I think that that's a good place to start. Now, I'm not saying that that's always the necessary place to start, and I'm not even saying that it's you're able to start every single time there. But I've rare to see anybody who's mentally strong who's physically, you know, inactive. You know, And that's something that I think everybody should take into consideration that's watching this video and watches his. Like, again, you don't got to be a bodybuilder. You don't got to be CrossFit. You don't got to be triathlon. You don't have to be all these different things. But some type of physical activity is going to help release the proper chemicals in your body to help you level out, just so you can clear your mind. And it's part of your spiritual nature to be a being in motion. You're not supposed to be a stationary being. That's not how we were designed, right? And then lastly, he was talking about his kids, and I'm never going to disagree with anybody who talks about their kids because I don't have any. So I always just defer to the experts. And I always say there's multiple ways to raise a child. There's multiple ways to cultivate a village and a tribe. And he was talking about, what's big to your child should be mammoth to you. And I agree to that to a certain extent because of the simple fact that if they come to you with a problem and you write it off, they'll probably never come to you again. If they come to you and they say something, like this is bothering them, and you say, suck it up, buttercup, that's what they're going to believe that they should do with all their problems. If somebody gives you a problem, hear them out. Hear them out, talk about it for a little bit, and then talk about the solutions with it, because anything that's big to them should be mammoth to you. In that retrospect, I kind of do have kids, right? I do have people who come to me and tell me, I need 5 minutes of your time. I need an hour of your time. I need 30 minutes of your time today because I'm going through something and I need to talk about it, and I need a voice of reason. And I can be that voice of reason, and I can be that kind and that gentle person that can gently correct them. How Jason Wilson was saying, I can correct them but not condemn them. That I can tell them, hey, you did something wrong here, but it's not the end of the world. And good that you recognize that you did something wrong, and good that you can do better, right? So without that, I mean, this video is already, look at already 30 minutes, which is half the video of his. I did have a 30-minute review on an hour video, but it was just such great information. And I was asked to definitely do this by a friend of mine. He wanted to know my thoughts on it. And me and him, we had like a 2-hour conversation about this. We were talking for a very long time, and we had a couple of texts back and forth. So thank you so much. I didn't ask you if I could use your name, so I won't use your name, but you know who you are, Young King, and I appreciate you being involved in my life and being part of this thing that we call Endure, Believe, Rise. Thank you for bringing Jason Wilson back onto my radar so I can get his book and start looking at some of the things that he does. He's a very powerful man of God, a very powerful king, and he has a very unique perspective on how we should carry ourselves and treat each other in this world. And I just about wholeheartedly agree with them. There's a million different ways that we can do it wrong. This isn't one of the wrong ways. This is a good, unique perspective, and it may be exactly the perspective that you need to jumpstart what you need. It might be exactly what you're looking for. So go check it out. Again, it's called "Why Men and Women Are Why Men and Boys Are Silently Giving Up, and What They Need to Hear." His name is Jason Wilson. You'll see various interviews. He has quite a few books called The Comprehensive Man. I'm gonna go pick it up so I could really deep dive into it and get the principles that I agree with, align with, see the principles that I don't, and see if give him the opportunity to change my mind. I love to give people, philosophers, motivational speakers, teachers, and pastors. I love to give them the opportunity to change my mind, to have a good debate, right? And that's exactly what is going to happen when I read his book. I'm going to give him the opportunity to do that. So with that being said, I hope this wasn't too long. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoy his video. And thank you for all the support, all right? All right, guys, I need you to take care of yourselves. Please, be kind to one another. Keep me in your prayers. I'll forever keep you in mind. Endure, believe, rise.